This is what Republican leadership sounds like when someone asks them a question about the lives of actual, real people. They can't answer.
You described it as a hiccup, the gas prices and the change in the oil market that we're seeing. I mean, if they're lifting sanctions on Russia, clearly they're worried it could last longer than just a brief period, don't you think?
I don't, Caitlin. I think you're really reaching here. I think just as quickly as we took those sanctions away, we can put them back on. So I think, again, it's one day at a time. You live in this little ivory tower here. I don't think that you're dealing with the real world that the President Trump has. We don't know when the war is going to be over. We don't know when the sanctions should go back on. But I think the president on a day-to-day basis is trying to do what he thinks is best for Americans.
I'm asking you about gas prices that Americans are paying that are extremely high and having wild swings, in part because of the war with Iran that the president started.
Right. So again, freedom is not free. Americans are going to have to make some sacrifices, but we're operating from a point of strength. Isn't it great that compared to when I was growing up in the 70s, we were so dependent upon Middle East oil, but now we're the largest producer of oil in the world, that we're the second biggest exporter of oil in the world. So we're not going to be shut out economically from this. We at least have the oil here. Yes, it's a worldwide commodity, but this is one of the prices of war.
Gas prices are up over 20% in a single month. Americans are paying close to $3.60 a gallon, and that's continuing to climb. People in California are already paying more than $5 a gallon. Diesel is up 28%. But I don't need to tell you because you already know. Every single trucker, every single family, every single parent driving to work right now is feeling this in your wallet today. So CNN asked Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas a pretty simple question. Is this gonna last a while? And Marshall literally cannot answer the question. He says, you live in an ivory tower. Sir, this is a question about gas prices. That is not an ivory tower question. That is a Tuesday question. That's a I have to get to work and fill my car up question. And then when he runs out of ways to dodge it, here's what he lands on. Freedom is not free. Americans have to make sacrifices. Okay. The same party that spent 4 years screaming about gas prices, that made $5 a gallon a campaign rally chant, is now telling you that paying more at the pump is a patriotic sacrifice. The same people who called previous presidents a failure every single time oil prices ticked up are now explaining to you, as if you're a child, that sometimes war costs money and you should be grateful to pay those sacrifices. Okay, talk about an ivory tower. I mean, the real ivory tower is being able to say that freedom has sacrifices because you don't have to worry about how much gas costs like the rest of the country does. And let's not forget, this is a war that nobody actually asked for and nobody wants.
Well, the right would have you believe that it's been an imminent threat for 47 years, even though we were sending birthday cakes all around. And Jesse says in 5 or 10 years, it could have gotten really bad. That would have given us a little more time to think this through. And you guys basically listening to you should just wave that mission accomplished banner and go back to that kind of era, because you're talking as if that this is a done deal, that we are so overwhelming them that nothing can go wrong, when the facts on the ground are that things are going wrong. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Reuters, NBC confirming that it was U.S. airstrikes that were responsible for hitting that Iranian school. Over 150 people dead, dozens of children. You talk about our new allies in the region, and I have given President Trump his flowers multiple times about the Abraham Accords, but the FT reporting that our partners like the Saudis, the Emiratis, Kuwaitis, Qataris are talking about withdrawing from contracts with us and suspending their investments. Oil prices surging. You love to talk about gas prices, up to $86 a barrel. The Qataris say we could get you to $150 a barrel. Gas up 35 cents in a lot of conservative states. So that's not good for the midterms. And the Trump administration didn't refill the strategic petroleum reserves. You can say, oh, Biden depleted it. You still had over a year to fill it up. And you shouldn't go to war in the Middle East when you don't have enough oil. And now that Russia is providing the Iranians with information on where to strike American forces, so we didn't give the Ukrainians the Tomahawk missiles they asked for to take out the drone factories, the $20,000 drones that we spend $4 million on a missile per to take out. And now the Russians are helping the Iranians, and Bloomberg's reporting that we're going to ease sanctions, oil sanctions on the Kremlin.
A U.S. airstrike hit a girls' elementary school in Iran on the first day of this war. We are talking about children, little girls, ages 7 through 12, who were in class on a Saturday morning and are now dead. The Pentagon's own preliminary investigation says it was a U.S. Tomahawk missile fired at a base next door using a target list that probably nobody in this administration bothered to check or update since the school was separated from the base. Then there's this strategic ledger. Russia is feeding Iran targeting intelligence. Gulf partners, the ones who were supposed to be cheering on this operation, are now reportedly reconsidering their U.S. investments. Oil briefly hit $100 a barrel, and experts say $150 a barrel is now on the table. 7 U.S. troops are dead. 140 more are wounded. And what is the Trump administration's response? Trust us. It'll be over soon. Maybe, or maybe it won't. They don't actually know. Trump said the war is very complete pretty much, but then Hegseth said the next day would be the most intense day of strikes. Those two statements were made within hours of each other, by the way, so the administration doesn't even know when this is gonna be over. MAGA waved the mission accomplished banner before the ink was dry because they literally don't have a goal in mind. They cannot verbalize when the end of this war could be or what end they're even looking for. And now, as Jessica is pointing out, the situation is getting more dangerous by the day, not less. More expensive, more deadly, more chaotic, which is this administration's MO, I guess.
Why did President Trump say yesterday that Iran may have Tomahawk missiles when there are only 3 other US allies plus the US that have those missiles and therefore could...
Look, again, as the president said yesterday, he will accept the conclusion of this investigation by the Department of War. I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about who may be responsible for this. We're not going to get ahead of the Department of War and the conclusion of that investigation. The president has a right to share his opinions with the American public, but he has said he'll accept the conclusion of that investigation.
A new report says that the military investigation has found that the United States struck the school in Iran. As Commander-in-Chief, do you take responsibility for that?
That is what?
As Commander-in-Chief, do you...
For what?
For the strike on the school in Iran. A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about that.
Caroline Leavitt's whole job in that clip, but also in all clips, is to not answer the question. And I mean, she's pretty good at that. She really knows how to not answer a question. But what she says is that Trump will accept the conclusion of the investigation. Next question. But notice what she's not saying. She's not saying it wasn't us. The strike was not the US. She's not defending the intelligence. She's not expressing any grief, any outrage, any acknowledgement that 150 children are dead. Just an unbelievable amount of callousness. There's literally no care. And then there's Trump. Back to back, you see this. She said Trump will accept the conclusion of the investigation. And then a reporter asked Trump about this report, the one that his own Pentagon puts out. And he says, for what? Not we're looking into it. Not, this is a tragedy we take seriously, just complete, unbothered, blank stare. It is just total carelessness. More than 100 children were killed, murdered, and the president has absolutely nothing to say about it. It is a level of evil that I think I can't even comprehend. These children don't even register to Trump as something that requires attention.
176,000 people have 2 full-time jobs. That's the second highest ever recorded. Does this reflect, A, a strong work ethic? It seems like a strong work ethic in America to me. Or does it mean many people are really struggling to get by?
I think it's emblematic of this K-shaped economy. The upper 20% of incomes are doing okay. They enjoy this inflationary cycle that the last administration put us through. And I think the bottom 80% of incomes are really struggling. So that's an 80-hour work week. I mean, that's pretty harsh. And yes, they've got a great work ethic, but they're only doing it because they have to, not because they want to. And again, that was the last high was 488,000 in December of 2025. And it's doubled since the year 2000.
176,000 Americans are working 2 full-time jobs. Not part-time, full-time. That is 80-hour weeks. And the guest had to explain out loud to these Fox News hosts that it's not because they love the grind. They're doing it because they have to. And as a side note, I mean, who in that building, which reporter, which pitcher before that segment aired, looked at 176,000 people working 2 jobs and said, hey, maybe this is a story about how hardworking Americans are. Now, this is what it looks like when the economy is working great for the billionaires and the mega corporations and not for anyone else. And here's what Fox News had to say to the 176,000 people who are working 2 jobs.
As far as the oil prices, people just need to stop panicking. We might see some spikes for a little bit, but it's worth it to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon, which could destroy or wipe us all out. So if I have to pay a little bit more for gas, I'll do that for the next few weeks.
They say, pay a little bit more for the next few weeks. Let's talk about who gets to say something like that. This woman is on television. She is a green room and a makeup artist and a car service home. So when she says, I'll pay a little bit more for gas for the next few weeks, she's describing a minor inconvenience in her life. For everyone else, though, the people Fox News just finished telling us are working 2 full-time jobs just to survive, a little bit more for gas is not some philosophical, theoretical question. It is the difference between making rent and not. It's the difference between getting groceries and racking up credit card debt that charges you 25% interest. And she says the next few weeks. I mean, where is she even getting that? Even the Trump administration can't tell you. Even Trump himself can't tell you when this war is gonna end. Trump said the war is very complete, pretty much. Then Hegseth promised the most intense strikes yet. The banks are saying elevated inflated gas prices could last through the fall. Literally nobody knows when this is going to end. But Fox News is telling working people to relax. It's just a few weeks. It's worth it. Worth it to who, exactly? Not the factory worker in Iowa who voted for Trump because he promised to bring prices down. Not the truck driver whose diesel costs just jumped 30%. Not the family in California paying more than $5 a gallon. This is the tell. When the sacrifice is always someone else's to make, when it's Americans will have to make sacrifices from a senator, or freedom isn't free from a think tank, or I'll pay a little bit more from a TV pundit, you are looking at a class of people who have fully insulated themselves from the consequences of their own Trump ass-kissing. They will say whatever they need to make Trump happy and do not think about the lives of actual, real people.
It seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
Joe Rogan didn't vote for Kamala Harris, and most of his audience didn't either, and so it's important that he's saying this, because it's not a Democrat saying the Republicans started a war. It's someone from inside Trump's own coalition saying, we did not sign up for this. Trump didn't run on, we'll go to war when I think it's necessary. He ran on America first, no more wars. But now we have a war with no clear objective, no exit strategy, a school full of dead children, gas prices that are gutting working families, Russia helping Iran, Gulf allies getting cold feet, and 7 dead American troops. And then when you ask why, when a reporter literally asks the president, why are we at war with Iran? The answer changes every single day. Nuclear weapons, or terrorism, or preemptive strike, or regime change, or Iran just wanted to practice evil. He can't give you a straight answer. The president doesn't know, or pretends not to know, about the Pentagon report on the Iranian school strike. The special envoy doesn't know how or when the war ends. The senator doesn't know when sanctions go back. Nobody can tell you in a single, clear sentence what victory in this war looks like, or when we'll know we've achieved it. And while they're sorting all of that out, the rest of us are paying for it. Not the Fox News guy who will cheerfully absorb a few extra dollars for his principles, not the senator who called it a hiccup, not the TV pundit who will go home in a car that she expensed, the truck driver and the factory worker and the families that are paying $4 or $5 a gallon. Those are the people paying for it. The 176,000 people who already are working 2 full-time jobs to survive, those are the people who are gonna be paying for it. They were promised lower prices on day one. They got a war that nobody can explain, gas prices up 20% in a single month, and a president who responds to a question about dead children with, for what? I don't know anything about that. Freedom isn't free, they keep telling you. And they would know because they've made absolutely sure that it's your job to pay for, not theirs. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.